Aleph, Chaf Aleph and Aleph. We did a little bit. Then maybe 20 instead of 21. I'm not sure what we're holding. Okay, Chaf Aleph and Aleph. And we're on this part of the Mishnah that it says, it says that when you want to potter, Rosh Hashanah, but you still pay Mashanenis, which yesterday we spoke about how much that is. Omer, that's not the subject here. We're going really on the Bechulu, the end of the Mishnah, that it said, so we don't have this phenomenon too much nowadays. Animals walking in the shuk.
Yeah.
And
when I came to Eretz Yisrael like 27 years ago, they used to have one come back to you. I used to say donkey.
A donkey used to go back and forth.
The guy,
yeah.
The donkeys, yeah.
Okay.
12 donkeys.
He sold yeah. So here it seems to go in the shuk, and they're supposed to be very behaved, and they're not supposed to go into the store. They're not supposed to know. That's they're supposed to know. And either he's supposed to know the animal itself, or the owner's supposed to watch it, and that's going to be the difference between Chatzar and Nizik and Rishus Rabin. Rishus Rabin is potter, Sheni regular is potter Rishus Rabin, and Chatzar and Nizik is Chayiv. So this Leon is now Pashup Shah. Might be a machlokus about this, and Tosus, but more Pashup is that the question is what's considered Chatzar and Nizik. What part of the shuk is considered the private property, and what? Thank you. And what part is called that is public property, and the animals allowed to go there. You don't have to watch it. So don't bother. Okay, I'm sorry. Just going to continue because okay. So it says in the Mishnah what?
What's going to be called Sadi Rishus Rabin?
Sidi Rishus Rabin, Rishus Rabin, Mitocha Rechava, Sidi Rechava. That's what the Mishnah said. The Mishnah said the Rechava means like the plaza, like they have here the plaza. So the side of the plaza or the middle of the plaza, the Rechava. So the Mishnah says that on the side, I think a little bit of the shuk. You have the shuk, you have the stands on the side, and the place to walk is in the middle lane. Or you have in the car though. So that might be called the Rechava is the side. The side. Places says also they used to have like a sidewalk, like we have, that is raised and separated. So the Siddur Rechava might be considered what we call a sidewalk. It depends on the way the streets looked in those days. You have the corridor, that you have the colonnade.
The sidewalk is definitely Rishus Rabin.
But as far as we're not talking about Hilchas Rishus Rabim as far as Shabbos, talking about by Mazikin, and where's the ox supposed to go? He doesn't go. Yeah, he doesn't go in the sidewalk. He goes in the street like all the cars.
Yeah.
So going on the sidewalk, he's not supposed to go onto the sidewalk. If he goes down, thank you. If he goes onto the sidewalk and he eats, then he's going in a Sidei Rechava, which is going to be Chatzar and Nizik. He doesn't have business coming onto the sidewalk. So the mission is pretty good. I mean, simple. That the middle of the street is considered Rishus Rabin. If he eats over there, so then it's butter. But if he goes onto the sidewalk, which is called Sidei Rechava, so then it'll be considered Chatzar and Nizik, and he's Chayiv. Not supposed to eat over there. I'm not sure if the picture of a sidewalk is exactly the right picture. You can talk about also a shuk, that they have a stands on the side. Okay. So the Mishnah says that Sidei Rechava is Chayiv, that's called Chatzar and Nizik. Amarav, over Machzeres. I've said, we would say like a filo machzeres, even if it's walking in the street, but it turns its head in order to eat off the sides. What do you say about that? I don't know which picture to describe, either the sidewalk or more a shuk. It's going in the shuk, Rehov David, whatever, and it's supposed to go in a straight line, but it turns its head to eat something off one of the display cases over there. Is that considered that it's in the Chatzar and Nizik? So Rav says, even if it's walking in the middle, it didn't walk off into the side. It's walking in the main lane, but it turned its head to eat off the display case. That's also considered Chatzar and Nizik. You're not allowed to do that. The animal has to walk straight ahead. Right, don't turn your head to the side. And if it does, then the owner is supposed to be right there and take care of his animal. Shmuel says that is considered the distance that he could just turn his head and eat off the sides. That's also considered Rishus Rabin. That's not considered Siddur.
There would be only if he goes onto it.
Oh, the one's going to ask. Oh, that's very nice. That's why the one's going to ask. So what is considered Siddur Rechava? If he turns his head and eats off the side, that's still considered Rishus Rabin. So what is considered Chatzar and Nizik? the Shavkata, the Rechava, Va'azla, Vakama, B'tzili Rechava. That his whole body. He left the main street, the main. It left Shavak, it left there, and it went and it stood on the Tzili Rechava. It stood on the sidewalk, or it stood in between the stands and the side. It has to go in the middle lane. It's not supposed to go to the side. And these display cases, they also have places in between. Let's say so. That's called. It went in between. It went on into the Tzili Rechava. It left the Rechava and it went onto the Tzili Rechava. Okay, that's one. We're going to have the same thing over again. And let's put this in parentheses because it's the same thing, just in a different way of expressing it. And the Gemara says in a different way of talking. V'ika, the masni l'hoshmai to b'apin nafsha. Some say the same thing over again, but instead, Rav and Shmuel explain the Mishnah. The Mishnah says Tzili Rechava, Toch Rechava. What does that mean? Others say the same machlokes, but they say that it was not said on the Mishnah. And the way it starts is machzeres. What's the din of an animal that turns its head to the side? Rav Amachayeves, so Shmuel Amapatura. Shmuel says that it's chayiv because it's considered chatzar and nizik, and has to turn his head. But Shmuel Amapatura because it's considered rishus harabim, and even if it has to turn his head, that's normal. That's normal. All the Shmuel Mishalem Mashmash Zik Echem Mishkachasla. The Machayev. When is Shmuel going to say that it's chatzar and nizik? If it turns its head, it's still called rishus harabim. So what would be considered rishus and nizik? From the Shavka, the Rechava, Bava Kamma, the Rechava. If the whole body went off the main lane and it went down to the side. So same thing over again. What?
What's the difference?
There is no difference between the. That's why it's in parentheses. Just it was it said on the Mishnah in the first term. It was said on the Mishnah. Mishnah says that Tzili Rechava. What is machzeres? Does Tzili Rechava include machzeres? Rab says that it even includes machzeres, and Shmuel says no, that doesn't include machzeres. Machzeres would be considered rishus harabim only if it goes onto the sidewalk. Then it's to be considered. Okay, so the same thing over again in a different way of presenting it, but not of kamina.
Okay.
But then there is an ikadami. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, no, not yet. Masif Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Maybe Mesav, I'm not sure how you say it. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak has the kasha on Rav. Again, the question, just keep it simple. Is the animal normal to turn its head? It's not normal. I don't mean normal, Karen or Shane. Is it permitted? Is that considered its domain? It's considered public domain if it's within reach of just turning its head to eat off the sides. Rav said that it's not. Straight line. Don't don't even move off to the side. Don't even turn your head onto the side.
If you don't have to expect that someone else's animal is going to eat your stuff.
Right, because the owner of the animal is responsible to take care of his animal, shouldn't turn his head. So I guess it goes with blinders or something like that. The animal shouldn't see on the side, it'll go straight ahead. That's how Rav holds. The Mishnah continues another case. The Mishnah has two things: Tzili Rechava and Toch Rechava. It also talks about Pesach HaChanus and Toch HaChanus. Pesach HaChanus means the doorway, and Toch HaChanus means inside the Chanus, inside the shop. So it says in the Mishnah that inside the shop is chatzar nizik. The animal walks into the store, for sure he's chatzar nizik. But Pesach HaChanus is considered rishus harabim. If it's only by the doorway, the shop, the entrance to the shop, so then it's considered rishus harabim. How do you get to the entrance of the shop? Don't you have to turn? Pesach HaChanus mishlamis ma'anenis. That's considered rishus harabim. Echem mishkachas la pshita v'machzeres v'kama mashenenis and mashezikalo. So this seems to be a kasha, I think, on Rav. Rav says that's not allowed to turn its head. So if it turns its head, it's already called chatzar nizik. But the Mishnah says that Pesach HaChanus is called rishus harabim, and it doesn't pay for the damage. It only pays mashenenis. It's another way of saying that it's potter. It's potter from Hesek to pay mashenenis. So according to Rav, that even turning its head is already considered chatzar nizik. How could it get into the Pesach HaChanus? The Gemara is asking every Pesach HaChanus, you have to at least turn your head. According to Shmuel, well, we answer according to Shmuel, if there be a Pesach HaChanus, that it didn't have to go onto the sidewalk, if there be such a thing, that it could turn its head to go to the Pesach HaChanus, but it didn't have to go onto the sidewalk. But according to Rav,
How do you have a pet?
how do you have a Pesach HaChanus without, no, according to Shmuel, Rav, I was asking according to Rav. I'm asking according to Shmuel. Yeah, how do you have a Pesach HaChanus with turning your head? But isn't the Pesach HaChanus? No, it's possible to have a Pesach HaChanus just by turning your head. And that's considered still rishus harabim. But according to Rav, turning his head already is already considered chatzar nizik. How do you ever have the entrance of a store that you don't have to even turn your head to get into the entrance of the store? That's the most kasha on Rav. The answer is who was Lavu Mafarikla. This was of Nachman Yitzchak. He asked the kasha. He answered the kasha himself. The kind of Bakaran's of is that the store is in the corner. It means the shuk turns. You have that also by let's say Rechov Yehudim. You go straight. So you get eventually to you have to make a turn. You have to turn. So if there's a store that's right there, So then the animal didn't have to turn his head at all. It went straight. And the Pesach HaChanus is still called Chatzar HaNizik. Once he goes into the store, that's going to be called Rishus HaNizik. And the kasha was, according to Rav, if you turn your head, it's very Rishus HaNizik. So he didn't have to turn his head. And a regular store, in order to get to the Pesach HaChanus, you always have to turn your head. But here's a case we don't have to. So what happened? Machlokas was if the animal is included in the domain of the Rishus HaRabim, is that the area that the animal could reach by turning his head.
So Yehudim is a perfect example.
What's the example?
Right, because there's so many tables there that people sit and eat. So if the animal goes and just, he's walking there, and then he just goes and he eats from somebody's food.
Is that called Chatzar HaNizik? He's only allowed to go with a straight. And if something's in the street, someone puts something in the street. That's
it's very easy for an animal to just
turn his head. So according to Rav, the owner is responsible to make that the animal shouldn't turn his head.
Right.
According to Shmuel, turning the head is also considered part of the Rishus HaRabim, and the owner of the animal is pater, only if he walked off. He walked off onto the side, off the lane. But on the lane, he's allowed to turn his head also, and the Nizik has to watch out that he shouldn't. Ikadami. So all this was one Ikadami, even though it had two versions. One was in parentheses, but still was all one issue. Ikadami, others have a different version about Rav and Shmuel. Even Shmuel agrees to Rav that the animal's not allowed to turn its head. The owner has to watch that the animal should go straight. If it turns its head, it's already considered Chatzar HaNizik. And as the Gemara said, he's not to explain. Pesach HaChanus means walking straight into it by the corner. But everyone agrees that Mazeres, if it has to turn its head, it's already called Chatzar HaNizik, and the animal is chayiv. Keep pligi. So what is the machlok? So what's the machlok? Rav and Shmuel. That one of the stores he set aside some of the place which was his private. He could have made a stand over there, a store, but he moved in. He indented. He went further back in order to make an area that he lets people come over there. They still get they further into Rishus HaRabim. It could be that it could be, I didn't notice, but it could be that places that he wants, the store owner doesn't do this after the same Shemaim, that he wants to make a bigger Rishus HaRabim. He wants people to be able to come into his corner, and whatever, Tony's corner, and they have time, they don't have to be in the middle of the street. Everyone's passing by, they say, please excuse me this, and people are going to walk further. So he takes off some of his store and says, you're allowed to walk here also, it's also a Rishus HaRabim kind of thing. And it's his private property, but he moved back his store and his stands in order that people should be able to walk over there also. So the question is, now the animal walks into that and he eats. Is that what came to the Chatzar HaNizik? Because officially on paper it's mine, even though it looks like the same street, like the street has an indentation and you can go on a little bit further. Most of the street is whatever, 3 yards wide, and this was 5 yards wide. So they go into the corner over there, but maybe officially on paper it still belongs to him. So he says
this is with it. After the tzidei.
But everybody else might be considered the tzidei, but he moved his store back, and everything is. And he didn't make a sidewalk over there. He said, "Come in."
Once they're on the tzidei, or is everybody saying once they're on the tzidei, it's just about.
That's the Rishus HaNizik. But here, the fact that he made more Rishus HaRabim, he said, "Please don't look at this. Don't look at this as sidewalk." He took away the sidewalk. He moved back and said, "Come in. You're allowed to walk in my area also." It's not my. I feel like I make my store here already, but I moved back in order to make more room for people to come. But officially, it's his. So is that called Chatzar HaNizik?
But even though he did that, so for them to get there, they have to go on the tzidei.
So I can say that he knocked off the sidewalk. Also, he took away it's even though it's a sidewalk, the same way the street itself sometimes turns. So
okay.
I'm not sure if they made a picture differently than I'm saying, but
okay.
So so now they're making a new issue. It doesn't have anything to do with the sugi before. No machlok is Rav and Shmuel according to this version, and happens to be according to this version they took opposite opinions. In the first opinion, Rav was more machmir and Shmuel was more mekel. In this opinion, it's quoted the opposite, that Rav is the one who's mekel and Shmuel is the one who's machmir. I don't think that it's dependent on anything we said. What is chayiv? If you went to Chatzar HaNizik, and even Machzer is also called Chatzar HaNizik, you have to walk straight. You have to walk only head straight ahead. But if the man decided to designate part of his own private property to the Rishus HaRabim, because Rishus HaRabim, and the animal's allowed to walk. Everyone's walking in. Animals allowed to walk, make that turn and come into the area that he designated for the Rishus HaRabim. And if he eats over there, so he's potter because it's Rishus HaRabim. It looks like the regular street. And Shmuel says, no, Yechayiv, and the Pashpshat seems to be because it belongs to me. It's my private domain. I'll let you come in. But if you come in and you're going to eat, so then you're coming on your own risk. I'll let you come in.
Because he made it convenient to buy things.
Right, but it's still mine. And not to eat. So when you come in, watch your animal, and if it eats, it's going to be fine. The Gemara takes this machlokes and compares it to another machlokes, which is the opposite case. Here it talks about bar b'shuso. Bar b'shuso means that I made a bar in my own domain. I dug a pit in my own chutzner, and I invite people to come in, and then they fall into the pit. So you can say that you made a bar b'shuso. No, I made a bar in my own b'shuso. I tell you come in, but I'm not a person to tell the animal felling. Okay, we're talking about bars only chayv on animals, not on people. Shovel or them come over the kalim. So animal felling. So I'll let you come in to my domain. You come to my chutzner, but then the animal fell into a bar, and he says, "Hey, my animal fell into your bar." He said, "You should have watched where you come in. You come into my rishus." So the Gemara is going to talk about about this bar b'shuso. Let's say that the argument about bar b'shuso kamiflagi. This the bar is the opposite. That Baal Chatzar was the mazik. Right here, we're talking about that this store he designated part of his property to the rishus, and he became nizik. That the owner who gave part of his store to the shuk. So now the animal came in and ate his food. So he's the nizik. Here, the case is that Baal Chatzar is the mazik. He has his own domain, and he made a bar, and he told people they can come in. Rav Dama Potter, Kasava Bar B'Shus Chayiv. Shmuel Dama Chayiv, Kasava Bar B'Shus Potter. The Gemara thinks that they're arguing when you own something and you let people come in. Are you telling them that you still retain your rights as the owner? Officially on paper, he owns it. Does that mean that it's mine? And you want to come in, gesundheit, but if you get damaged, that's your problem. I didn't make a Bar B'Shus. I didn't make it into B'Shus. It still belongs to me. So Rav says over here. Rav said that if the animal eats in the property that the store owner allows people to come, Rav says that he's chayiv. Rav said potter. Rav said potter. Maximum mokum l'shusa. Rav said, where I get that? Rav maximum mokum l'shusa Rav potter. That I let you come in, and it's the Rishus Rabbim. It's if I designated it to Rishus, it becomes Rishus Rabbim, even though I own it on paper. But as far as practical halachos, you're allowed to go there. So if your animal ate, he ate in Rishus Rabbim. That means that when a person designates from his own and allows people to come in, he's giving it to them for all practical purposes. So if he makes a bor, the one who owns the property, he made a bor and he lets people come in. So he made a bor Rishus Rabbim. Yeah. That's what the bor is comparing it. The Rav says over here that the owner who designated of his property to the Rishus Rabbim, if they're mazik him, they're potter because he gave it to them. So he's going to hold bar b'shus chayiv that if you make a bor in this place, you're going to be chayiv because you let them come in. So he gave it over to them as a Rishus Rabbim. And Shmuel says, no, I let them use it, but it's still not a Rishus Rabbim, it's still mine. And that's why Shmuel says that if the animal's going to eat, he's going to be chayiv to pay because it still belongs to mine. It's my property. So too, I made a bor and I invite you to come in, but it's my property. So if you come in, take care of yourself. And make sure you don't fall. You can't say afterwards that I made a bor b'shus around. You made a bor on my own private property.
Shmuel saying it's not a bor.
Right. Shmuel dam b'chayim because I have a bor b'shus apoter. Shmuel says that I still retain the ownership, and if you're going to eat my food, you're going to be chayiv.
In his rishus.
Because
he didn't make the bor. He didn't make the bor for people to use.
No, I made a bor, but the whole thing that I let people come in, it's still mine. Don't look at it like I gave it away. It's not just about them, it's still mine. So if you're going to eat my stuff, you're going to be chayiv. If I'm going to be mazik you and my bor, of course they can't punch him or something. That's because they came into my rishus. But it is a bor over there, so it's a bor. It's a bor in my rishus. It's not a bor in rishus Rabbim. Do you look at it when he gave it over to rishus Rabbim? You look at it as given over to rishus Rabbim for all practical purposes. That you're not allowed to mazik him, and if he's mazik you, he's chayiv. Or the opposite, that it still belongs to him. So if you're mazik him, you're going to be chayiv, and if he's mazik made a bor over there, he's potter because he made a bor in his own backyard. You're allowed to come in, but watch out. It's at your own risk. So that's the more things. The Gemara wants to compare this machlokes of Maksamokim L'Shuso Rabbim. The Gemara wants to compare these two cases. And now the Gemara says the bottom line, that's not necessarily. You don't have to say that they're interdependent. Rav could say, what did Rav say again? That if the animal eats, he's potter.
If the animal eats, he's not. And therefore, if it were like a bor in rishus, he'd be chayiv.
That's the more thought. I think more saying not necessarily. I could differentiate between these two cases. Even though I hold that
It's Rishus Rabbin.
it's Rishus Rabbim, and if you eat your potter because you ate in the Rishus Rabbim, lo l'mem l'cha ba'alma b'rishus potter. I can hold that if I dug a bar in my Rishus and let people come over there and potter because it's still mine. It's still mine. But how come if your animal eats, I also hold your potter? It seems to be contradicting. Is it mine or is it not mine? Did I give it over to the Rishus Rabbim or did I keep it for myself? Shani Yachad, Amar Lav Kol Kiminach, the Makavis Lula Peros Secha, the Rishus Rabbim, or Makavis Lula Teroy. The owner of the shore that ate, the shore ate food in this guy's domain that he would let people come in. You can't make your Peros so available to my shore and expect it not to eat. Officially, if I come in to that place, I'm going to fall into a bore. I'm responsible. But you can't entice my animal so much. He's not even turning his head. He's walking straight. And walking straight, he walks straight, but he walks straight into your corner, Tony's corner over there that he let people come. And I want that he shouldn't eat. You're enticing my animal in a way that it's not possible for him to hold back. And I don't have to watch him over there. The same idea that you made it as if it's a Rishus Rabbim. So the Gemara is not talking about officially who it belongs to, but you have to take each case for itself. But a bar, I could say, come in, but watch out where you're going. Watch your animal that it shouldn't fall in. But the other way that I should become chayiv, that the visitors, the ones who come in, they should be chayiv to pay because their animal ate. You can't put it right in front of his nose and tell him not to eat. I think that's what the Gemara is saying. Maybe it's a better shot. Ushmul, and the Shmuel also could be the opposite. What is Shmuel? Shmuel is the one who said that animal is chayiv if he eats. Shmuel said,
that he's chayiv eat.
Shmuel, did I get it right? Shmuel is the one who says that he's chayiv if he eats. Shmuel, that he gave that even though I gave it like to come here, but it's mine. It's mine. If it's mine, then maybe he should hold that if he made a bar, he's potter. And the Moshe says I can hold chayiv. Shmuel, if you made a bar and you're just let people come in, so you are chayiv if they fall in. The Bishlam bar, ikalamem alavadate. Elaperos, ikalamem alavadate. Achazilu. At a bar, you could say that he didn't realize means the reason why bar b'shusa is chayiv with the animal. Animal falls into a bar because he didn't see the bar. So you made a bar. You tell in your own rishus, let people come in with their accent. They come in, and the shah doesn't see where he's going. He falls into the bar, and the same way in the rishus around him, you have to watch out that no one should fall into your bar. Here also that it's not the shah's ability to watch out for a bar, and therefore it's going to fall in. So if you let me come in, that means that you're going to make sure there's no bar over there. So bar b'shusa is chayiv. But at Paris, what's the question? That the owner of this shetach, the owner of this area, that he let people come in, he wants that the animal should not eat the peros. Can he?
That means it said that.
We're saying Shmuel's the one who said that the animal's chayiv. Going to be chayiv on both counts. Before Shmuel was the one who said he'd be potter on both counts, and now Shmuel's going to say he'd be chayiv on both counts. You let me come into your shul, so you have to watch out. It shouldn't be a bar because my shul is not going to see your bar. He's going to fall in. You have to watch out. You have to make sure it shouldn't be a bar. The other way, that my animal came in and it ate your pears, so the owner of the chutzner says he didn't see my pears. Of course he saw my pears. The animal saw my pears. It's not something that's hiding. The bar is hiding. The bar is harder to watch. It's on the ground. So the
exception is the bar.
So the bar is the reason that even though it's mine, you're chayiv because he can't see where he's going. But if you're sure that's going to eat my pears, he sees the pears. You see the pears, he sees the pears, so you should make sure that he doesn't eat it, and if he eats it, he's chayiv. Rashi asks Akasha that what if he would have stumbled on the pears? What if it would have been the pears? A bar is usually on the ground, you don't see it. The pears are above ground. It says you see it, so you shouldn't eat it. And then he says, but the other way also, you could say that if the shore tripped on the pears, so the owner of the chutzner should say he didn't see the pears. He should not have tripped on it. So Rashi says, Rashi says if the bar wouldn't be a dog bar which is dug down, but it's the pears, the same ones that he ate, the same. But instead of eating it, he fell on it. So then the owner of the bar says he saw it. He shouldn't have tripped on it. So Rashi says yes, that would be the halacha. Only by a bar that is underground. That's the kind of bar we're talking about. And generally in Rosh Hashanah, that a bar that's above the ground is also chayiv, a stumbling block. But over here,
he trips on the water now. Big water.
So then he should have seen it. And the Rosh Hashanah, you can't say that. In the Rosh Hashanah, you're not allowed to leave a board that's above the ground either. That's what Rashi seems to say over here.
It's just why we can't leave him one outside.
Right, but in his own, he's allowed to. Where's Rashi? He's not allowed to put it over there. You're not allowed to put watermelons in the street. Here I'm allowed to put it. And the question is only if he said that you should have seen it. So the Gemara, you might put this whole Gemara about the board, you can put it in parentheses if you like, that it's the Gemara said this machlokas about dependent on that machlokas, and the Gemara says not. It's not dependent. They could have a different opinion about the din of bar Rishus Rabbim is. Okay, so we had issue about Machzeres. The main issue the Gemara started was if an animal's going in the street, does he have to keep his head straight? Or can he turn to the side? It's still called Rishus Rabbim. In the first lesson, we had a Machlokas. In the second lesson, everybody held that he's chayiv, he's not allowed to turn his head. And then they came up about Maksam Makom that he gave off of his Rishus to the Rishus Rabbim. Is that make that it's still mine Rishus and you're chayiv for eating in my Rishus? Or it's considered Rishus Rabbim and the Shoras Potter? The Gemara goes back to the din of Machzeres. We had a question if you're allowed to, if the animal's allowed to turn his head, is it considered Rishus Rabbim or not? So the first lesson said that's Machlokes. Second lesson said everybody said that it's Chayiv. Lema Machzeres Tanoi. We think we have Machzeres Tanoi about this issue of the animal turning its head. Is it considered Rishus Rabbim or Rishus Nizik? The Tanya. Achla mitoch ha'rechava mishlamis ma'ashe nenes. Mitzidi rechava mishlamis ma'ashe zika. Div Rabbim is considered Rishus Rabbim. The rechava is the plaza. That's the Rishus Rabbim. And the Tzidi Rechav is Chayiv, Mashe Zika. So same as our Mishnah here says that's what Meir and Rabbi Yehuda talking. But the Rabbi Yossi and the Rabbi Lezer argue in the Brisa. It's not normal to eat, only to walk. It means that's just to walk, but not to eat. They're coming to be machmir on something that Tanna Kamma said is potter. B'toch HaRechava, Tanna Kamma said it's potter. It's only has to pay mashenenes. It's a little bit confusing, the Gemara, because whenever one's potter, it says he has to pay mashenenes. But that doesn't mean that it's Chayiv. Chayiv means for the damages. Means even though you're potter, but you got to pay what you say lunch. But that's not, as far as we're concerned, we're saying potter. So Tanna Kamma says B'toch HaRechava is considered Rishus Rabbim, and therefore it's potter. But now Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Lezer argue and say it's not supposed to be eating. It isn't the derech to eat, only to walk, no eating. So it seems to say that they're being machmir on something that Tanna Kamma said is potter, it's Rishus Rabbim, and they say no, you're not allowed to eat, and it's chayiv for damages. And the Gemara wants to know what is Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Lezer arguing about. Tanna Kamma said that
it's not considered eating.
There's a part of eating in Rishus Rabbim. Toch HaRechava, in the middle of the plaza, he ate something.
Yeah.
It's a Rishus Rabbim potter. And
Rabbi Yossi standing and eating.
I'm not sure what you mean standing.
Not walking.
The issue is that he ate. It doesn't say about standing. It just says that.
You said it's not the way to walk and eat.
I don't think the point is to walk. It isn't. It's not supposed to eat. It's not the nature to eat, just to walk.
Where?
In something. So we spoke. So far we spoke about Toch HaRechava. So far there is simple price. So it sounds that it's walking in the middle of the Rechava, like everybody's walking over there, and the animals also allowed to walk over there, and it ate. Tanna Kamma says, you ate the Rishus Rabbim, so it's potter. And the verse says, no, it's not supposed to eat. That's what
I thought it meant because it's walking. Like animals don't walk and eat at the same time.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
You're saying it's because it's Rishus Rabbim?
The Tanna Kamma says, since it's Rishus Rabbim, he's allowed to walk over there, so he eats and it's normal. And what do you want from him? So he's potter. Shane Rishus Rabbim is potter. And the verse of Allah seems to say animals. That's what Tanna Kamma says, and it should be potter. And the verse seems to say no, it's not. It's not supposed to eat. That's not supposed to eat. It's just supposed to walk. So it's chayiv.
It's like a highway. It's a thoroughfare. It's not for eating. It's a place for going.
Yes. And his Rishus
Rabbim. It's their nature to go.
You could say that nature.
Have to do with the nature. You're saying it
could be the nature, but it's not a nature about standing or walking. It's about when you go in Rishus Rabbim, the animal has to keep his mouth closed. He's not a walk. It could be that we're talking about the owner. Your owner, you're chayiv to watch it. The animal shouldn't eat. Only it's not a walk, but it's not allowed to eat.
Why would he say that if the law is that you're potter?
So that's Ramaz and that's the kasha. He's saying chayiv. Obviously, he's saying chayiv something. I'll do what Rashi seems to do. That really, we'd read the words. We'd say that Yosef Lezer means that Shane is chayiv Rishus Rabbim. That's what it seems to say. And we know it's not true. So we have to continue as if he's saying something else. But he seems to be saying that no eating, just walking. So therefore what? Therefore Rishus Rabbim is chayiv. See, it didn't even enter your mind. Everyone knows Shane Rishus Rabbim. So Rashi seems to say that. that the Gemara thinks that it's not talking about Tocha Rechava because the Rebbe can't say Chai because there's Bia B'Steyach. You're not Chai Mishus Rabim. So what is the Rebbe talking about? So that's what the Gemara is looking for. The Gemara is looking for. Tell me something Rebbe is arguing about. If you're arguing about Rishus Rabim, everybody knows Rishus Rabim is Potter. So what is the Rebbe talking about? So you have to stick in between the lines. The focus that the Tanna Kamma said Potter, and Rebbe come to say Chai on something, but it doesn't say what it is. So we have to invent it. Whatever it is, we have to figure it out. Rabbi Yossi and Tanna Kamma, they're saying the same thing because obviously he's not going to say that he can't eat in Rishus Rabim. He just means to say that he can't eat it in a tzidei and the tzidei rechava. So Tanna Kamma also said the same thing. It must be there's a machlokes. It must be that they're arguing about a slight machlokes. That of course he's allowed to eat in Rishus Rabim. He's expected to eat, and of course he's not allowed to eat in tzidei rechava. But if he stayed in the main lane, he just turned his head. Not because it says anything in the words, but you have to stick something in because there's some machlokas going on if it's chayv or not, and surely it's not rishus rabim, surely it's not rishus and nizik, so something in between. What's in between? We found something in between. The border of the showcase of the display case that the animal just has to turn his head to eat. Is that considered rishus and nizik or not? Tanna Kamma said that's also going to be potter, and the Rebbe said no, that's going to be chayv because not supposed to eat, not supposed to turn his head at all. It's only it's potter and only pays what is better.
That border.
Right, Maseres means can reach by just turning his head without going onto the sidewalk.
Oh.
So that's going to be the case that a Kamma says potter, and Rabbi Yossi and the Rebbe Lezer come to say Mishlam is Mashe Zika. So we found the Chora Machlokes, this issue of Machzeres, we found the Machlokes Tanon. It's a little bit strange because it doesn't say anything. Just the fact that it doesn't say anything, you have to stick something in. So we found some kind of border case, a borderline machlokes where somebody can say chayv, somebody can say potter, and we'll stick that into the machlokes before. I'll say in parentheses or a footnote that I think the Gemara could have said the same thing about Max and Rishus Rav. The other case that the Gemara suggested could be in machlokes Rav and Shmuel. That also, whatever you want to stick in one of these. The Gemara says no, not necessarily. The kul yalma machzeres ikirav ikishmol. It doesn't. Don't put this into that machlokes. So what is the machlokes about? So the Gemara takes a daring step to say that maybe a chayiv and Rishus Rabim, which Lev Yaakov didn't even want to entertain the possibility. The arguing what the pasuk comes to say that he ate in somebody else's field. Tanna Kamma says you only chayiv in the chatzar and nizik, but you're not chayiv in Rishus Rabim, which we've been learning for 20 blood already. That Shane is part of Rishus Rabim. And Rabbi Yossi says no, it just means if he ate in his own rishus. The mazik shor ate in his own rishus. Somehow the nizik's Peros got into the mazik's rishus, and the mazik's animal ate it up, and that the person says you're potter. If you eat in your own rishus, you're potter. If you eat in somebody else, and rishus around, made you chayiv. That and the Gemara is entertaining the possibility that the verse in the Balaza holds in rishus rabim is chayiv.
Only his own rishus.
Only own rishus you're potter. If you stay home,
so that here means not his own,
right?
Including
rishus rabim, right? Which is almost like wow, yeah, that same rishus rabim is going to be chayiv, and the Gemara says rishus mazik. You have to have a pasuk to say that you put in your own domain. Lema perich b'shusi, my boy. Why are you fruiting in my? Who told you to put your fruit in my rishus? That doesn't need a pasuk. Your fruit. Your fruit.
Oh, your fruit. What's it doing in
my domain? You put your fruit in my domain, in my chutzah. Then my animal eats it. Then you come time and start I ate up your fruit. But you put your fruit in my chutzah for. You don't need
this step is saying it's logical, and we wouldn't
need a pasuk. Right. It would have said ubir. It wouldn't have said b'stei because sure you're not a chayv in your own rishus. Yeah. I could just throw out. Maybe it means that you let him come in. You're allowed to put your parents in my rishus. Maybe. But there's a sugi later on about if you have I let you come in to leave your things in my chutzah, and then he comes back and you ate it up. Okay, man. Maybe come in at your own risk. Okay, but that one doesn't entertain that issue. Okay. And so therefore the Gemara backs down. But I didn't mean that. And back to it surely doesn't mean the arguing in Rishus Rabim. So maybe it means Machzeres. The Gemara says I have other issues that it is talking about El de Ilfa or Boshayi Kibenayu. The Gemara is, again, as we said, there's no real proof from this brisa what they're talking about. Just there's some machlokas which you have to figure out. So we had other issues already that you could also talk about. Ilfa was the issue about eating off the other animal's back. We had yesterday machlokas, not a machlokas. Ilfa said so. The Gemara trying to bring a proof, it didn't bring a proof. But Ilfa said an issue that maybe the back of his fellow animal's back is considered is considered a chaser and nisik. Maybe that's a issue. Maybe that's a machlokes that the Bershit says you're allowed to walk, you're not allowed to eat. That means he'd hold like ilfa that is considered chaser and nisik. Tanna Kamma might argue,
Even
or
because the animals.
right, it's not the normal thing. Is that the norm to eat off the animal's back, or animals don't do that. Or the other abosha shaya, which the Gemara explained before, Kofet says that it jumped up. Taisa said, Rashi said maybe it's Karen over there. That is that considered Karen? Is it normal when an animal wants to eat and it sees something on somebody's back, will it jump up to get it? The Gemara says maybe Ilfa will be chayiv anyway because it's chaser and isik. Even if you don't know the Ilfa, I said as far as that Kofet says, according to Rava's explanation over there, that if it jumped up in order to get the food, maybe that's considered Karen. So that's why it should be chayiv. So there are other issues you could talk about to stick into Rabbi Yossi against Rabbi Meir. So not necessarily a machzeres. So the Gemara just deflected that there's no proof that there's a machlokes tanam about the issue of machzeres. But there was before machlokes Shav and Shmuel, or in the second version, everybody agreed that it's chayiv. The question is, the application today, I don't know, we don't have animals nowadays, so I don't know what to say. But the question was, when an animal goes in the shuk, is it normal? Is it still considered the domain of Rishus Rabbim to turn his head without walking onto the sidewalk, just to turn his head, or even that the owner is responsible that he shouldn't turn his head, just put blinders and go straight ahead? Is it considered chaser and nizik or not?
I have a picture here and it says Rav Oshaya Pashta Tzabara.
Right. That was
You're talking about Kotsa.
No, that was a Rashai. A Rashai or Ilfa? That was Ilfa.
Ilfa said.
Ilfa was the case on the Chaf. Oh, what was it? You said
Tzavara.
Pashta Tzavara. Where am I?
Was Ilfa?
Ilfa was the case of Gabi Chavata is Ilfa, and the case of Abishaya was Halcha V'Achla Amda V'Achla, which the Gemara explained Kofetzes. New Mishnah. So Rosh Hagag reads from the roof. Nowadays roofs are very high, and if the dog jumps from the roof, Rosh Hagag probably is going to die. But the Gag in those days wasn't so high.
What is a kelef? Here they have, okay.
A kelef or gedi, a dog or a goat, young goat.
Okay, so a goat was
Sure,
a better jumper than a dog.
A goat is a better jumper than a dog?
Yeah, they jump aren't the goats the ones that go jump on the rocks?
Oh, they have the mountain goats and stuff like mountain goats, not a regular goat.
A goat falls out from a window, it has no chance.
So that's the houses in those days weren't so tall. If they jump off the roof, they weren't so tall. They had houses 10 feet high. And I think they dug down into the people didn't crouch all the time.
Basement.
So you walk down a couple of steps and then it probably is easier to build. So they had roofs that were not so high in those days. But like the Armenian, we see the Armenian houses, the door is very low. I don't know what that's all about. And I went inside, but you see the Armenian doors are very low. So here it says that they jumped off.
That's for a different reason. That's because they put a cross on top of the door and they want people to bow down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
And going into private houses? In their private houses.
Yeah, an area.
Oh, really?
You see the cross over there?
Yeah.
On the outside?
On the outside. Sometimes the Jews won't go in if they're invited in.
Or they can go backwards.
Or they go back.
So a dog or a goat jumped from the roof and broke Kalim. Shabbos Kalim. Machavus said the case could be that it's his house right next to his friend's chatzer, and he let his dog go onto his roof, and he jumped on the next guy's chatzer, and he broke Kalim over there. So
he jumped into somebody else's.
It's his chatzer, so it's chatzer and nizik. And is this considered mishuna, or is it normal for a dog and a goat to jump? So the Mishnah says, "Misham nizik shalim." If nation more, then it's a normal thing to do. Dogs jump, goats jump, so it's not Karen. It's regular rishus and nizik, and it's chayiv. It's normal everyday routine.
Who said that?
The Mishnah.
The Mishnah. Okay, great.
New Mishnah. It can really be a new Mishnah. We could have said the Gemara on this and then go back to the Mishnah. The printer decided to put it together. Hakel, maybe because I also kill it. Hakel shenot al charav. Al chagadish. Al charav. Hit the chagadish. Al charav mishal nezik shalim. Al chagadish mishal chatzin nezik. We had this mentioned before. Once upon a time, a dog took a cookie, some kind of a loaf, and it was baked on coals. So there's a piece of coal that's attached to the loaf. He went to a gadish. He went to a haystack or a wheat stack, and he ate the cookie like every dog would do. Al charav. Did the Gadish, and then the Gadish got on fire because there was a coal attached to it. Al Charor Misham Nezek Shalem. He has to pay full damages for the Charor because it's normal to eat this regular chain. Chain B'Shus HaNizek is Chayiv. Al Agodish Mishalem Chatzi Nezek. And he has to pay only Chatzi Nezek for the Godish. And we don't know why. Why is Godish only Chatzi Nezek? Well, we only know two Chatzi Nezek. We know Karen and we know Chatzroros. Those are the two Chatzi Nezek that we know. It doesn't seem to be Karen over here. So it's going to be something about Sroros. But that's what the Gemara is going to deal with. There's going to be some Sroros as far as the fire. I just, as I'm reading it, it sounds like the Gadish, the Shane over here, he went to the Gadish of the Bala Harora. Where did he eat it? Where did he eat it? Someplace else. Then there would be we said where did he eat it? I think it seems like he went it was in the field of the Bala Harora. The Kelev Shnotel Harora.
What's the Bala Harora?
The owner of the cookie.
Oh, the owner of the cookie.
And he ate it. He ate the cookie. Where did he eat it? We had a Gemara that said once upon a time that if he ate it in the third Rishos, they're not Chayiv. I'm pretty sure that's what came out. That both of them weren't allowed to go there.
The owner of the cookie did not own the
I think he did. He owned the Gadish. Right. He owned the cookie, he owned the Gadish, and
so
he ate
it over there.
Yeah, right. So it's the same owner. I thought I had a picture went someplace else. But he didn't. He stayed in the same estate of the Bala Harora. He took the cookie that was baking on the coals with the coals attached to it, and he ate the Harora. He got to the koli jar, whatever. It burnt the Gadish. And it says on the cookie he pays Nezek Shalom, on the Gadish he pays Chatzi Nezek, which the Gemara will talk about Shroros. Why is the fire called Shroros? That's going to be an issue. There seems to be some kind of fire is fire. We're going to talk about why it's Chatzi Nezek. The Mishnah says Chatzi Nezek. So this is another Mishnah we're not here yet. Really, you should have.
This is a different case, right? This is the near. This is the Gadish. This is the Gadish.
That's right. Sorry. It's the same one here.
So back to the first Mishnah. The Mishnah says that the dog jumped, and that broke Kalim. So it has to pay Nezek Shalom. The Gemara doesn't have anything to say about that. That's Pashut. That is a normal way for a Caliph to jump, and therefore pays Nezek Shalom. But the Gemara goes into, what about if it was, this is going to be a subject now, that's called Chilosa B'Pshia B'Sofa Bonus. This is going to be the Gemara subject. Time at the Kafzu, Naflu Pater. The only reason why it's chayv is because it jumped and it broke Kalim. What if it would have fallen? The animal was on down to the roof and it fell. Instead of jumping, it fell. It fell and it broke Kalim. So that was a considered notice that it's not normal for the dog to fall, and the dog didn't mean to fall. The owner of the dog didn't think it's going to fall. So the Gemara says the fact the Mishnah says that's only chayv in the case where it jumped. One may derive that if it would have fallen, it would be pater. Because no pater is considered an onus.
Okay.
I wasn't chayv to wash my. I didn't think that was going to happen. Here's a tricky thing because you did have to worry that it's going to jump. And if it would have jumped, it would be normal to fall. It's normal to jump. It's not normal to fall. But you have to be choshesh is going to jump and break the kli. And it didn't jump, rather it fell. So that's called chilosa b'pshia b'sofa bonus. In the beginning, you were posher, you were negligent. But the mice, that's not what happened. It happened in the onus. But if it wouldn't have happened in the onus, it would have happened because of the pshia. If it would have not fallen, it would have jumped. So maybe you're chayiv. So the fact that our mission says only kafsu is chayiv, mashma that he holds chilosa b'pshia b'sofa bonus is pater. And there's such a brisa that says this dik in the Mishnah. Word for word the Mishnah, but the brisa explains no flip turin. But if it would have fallen, then he's pater because of bonus is pater. But the Gemara says, don't forget this is a machlokes. And how could our Mishnah is going to be one way? Bonus is pater is very nice. The Mishnah is very meduyak, and the brisa says so. So Rashi says there's machlokes Amaram about this. This machlokes about a bonus, and if you hold chayiv, it's against our Mishnah, against the dik and the brisa, dik and the Mishnah against the brisa. The Gemara answers, I can get out of it. The Kalim were close to the wall. If he would have jumped, the Kalim were out of range. If he jumps normally, he skips over the Kalim. He wouldn't have been mazik the Kalim. So it's not chilasa b'pshia. If I let my dog go onto my roof, even though he could jump, I'm not negligent because if he's going to jump, he's not going to damage anything. If he would jump, he wouldn't have fallen on it. But it's not even a pshia because he has no way of being mazik at pshia. I'd have to think maybe he's going to fall. I don't think he's going to fall because it's not normal for a dog to fall. So it's an onus. So the Gemara says from one Mishnah you can't bring a raya to the subject. There's a machlokes. Agav, we hold chilosa b'shia bonus is chayiv. We hold not like the Gemara first wanted. We talk hold philosophy b'shir self a bonus is chayev. Yeah, so we hold just we hold chayev.
Which one?
Philosophy b'shir, but I can't hear.
The
For self a bonus, the Gemara wanted to be with Aikma Mishnah Pater
because he should have been watching him for jumping.
and even though he didn't jump, he fell. He also chayev. Also, that's all right. Not like the Gemara's diak in the Mishnah, which the Gemara, and the Gemara itself says you can get out of the diak. You could say that it's talking about that there were no kalim that were in the firing range of jumping. So, therefore, he was not a posher. If he would have been a posher, then he'd be chayiv even if it fell. There's a case where it's considered a posher even for falling, even though dogs don't fall, goats don't fall. Sometimes you do have to choshesh she's going to fall. If it's a weak wall, that it might fall. So it might fall.
Known that it can fall.
It can fall. So the Gemara says right away that the weak wall is not going to be a reason why the dog should fall. It's a reason why the brick should fall.
Right.
And that's what the Gemara says. It's again, what's the problem? You should have thought that maybe a brick is going to fall. So that's the reason why it's and the brick. So at the end, the brick didn't fall. The animal fell. So it's again philosophy of a bonus. So you're getting involved in that same machlokes. If the Mishnah holds putter, then he'd be putter in that case also. So it's not such a good case. The Gemara's mashma, if you're philosophy of bonus is chayiv, so then since he was pusher about the brick, he's chayiv also if the dog fell. But if you hold philosophy of bonus is putter, so then he shouldn't be chayiv in that case either. But see, right, I have to say a different case. Not that it was a weak wall, but it was a narrow wall. A narrow wall, even goats and dogs, not mountain goat, but a regular goat, it also falls. So the owner has to be wary that if I'm going to let my goat go onto the roof, he might stand on the narrow wall and he might fall. And it's even normal to fall. It's not considered an onus. So there is such a case. Everyone's good with that?
Because just said wall, it might be a narrow wall. And then it would be.
We can change it. Right, this word you have to change to tsar. Not that it's ruah, but tsar. Okay. Now we're going into regular, just to know how dogs act and how goats act, what's normal, what's not normal. Anybody that has dogs and goats would know this. It's not normal for a dog to jump up, nor a goat, only to jump down. So if it jumped up, it's potter. Potter means Rashi says from Nezek Shalem, the Gemara's going to say soon, of course it's Chazi Nezek, it's Meshuna. But it's Meshuna. So I have to stop then. Okay. Yes, you call. Thank you. Start again.
Thank you, Happy Shabbos.
Hello. Yes.
This is an animal that fell into a.
I'm in the Shiva.
An animal fell into a hole. In real life.
Oh, is it real one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come in a few minutes. Okay.
Oh my God.
I'll see.
Oh my God. Oh wow.
No.
It's a liveries of
You shouldn't have thought so.
damage.
I'll see you soon. Okay, bye bye.
Was walking along.
What is this? Is this a cow?
No, it's not a cow. It's there's this huge animal. It fell into a sinkhole.
Wow.
And there's a video here of
I don't
them
see the face.
craning it out to its
Yeah.
back legs.
Dead.
Huh?
It's dead already.
It's alive.
Oh,
Still.
alive and well.
Live and well.
And the hind legs didn't bother you?
It wasn't hurt.
It didn't bother being
Wow.
hoisted out.
Right in head first.
I think it was happy that it got out.
Yeah, miracle. Wow. That's a good
Good one.
wow.
I'm not going to be around Shabbos, and I forgot all about it. So I didn't get any replacement. I'll try to get a replacement still. If not, maybe possibly.
Right?
Yeah, I'll try. And if not, I'll try for Motzei Shabbos if I could, but I'm not sure about that either.
Okay.
So we'll be in touch. Who should I call?